In the depths of a galaxy far removed from Earth, where stars shimmered like scattered diamonds and planets floated in cosmic silence, there existed two worlds that had never crossed paths until fate decided otherwise. On one side was Captain Liam Carter, an unyielding human soldier whose life had been defined by duty and discipline. Raised on Earth's war-torn continents, he had grown into a man who knew how to fight but not much else. His reputation preceded him: brave, loyal, and perhaps a little too stubborn for his own good. On the other end of this vast universe lay Xylora Vena, the crown princess of the planet Aurelia. Unlike her title suggested, she wasn't just some pampered royal lounging in opulence. She was fierce, intelligent, and carried herself with a grace that commanded respect even from the most hardened warriors of her realm. Her people revered her as both a symbol of hope and strength, though few could guess at the loneliness hidden beneath her radiant exterior. Their meeting would change everything, for better or worse. It began during what should have been a routine reconnaissance mission for Liam and his squad. They were sent to investigate strange energy readings emanating from an uninhabited moon orbiting a gas giant deep within uncharted space. The mission seemed simple enough: scan, collect data, and return home. But when they arrived, it became clear that nothing about this place was ordinary. Jagged crystalline structures jutted out of the ground like shards of glass, glowing faintly under the dim light of distant suns. Strange hums filled the air, vibrating through their suits and unsettling them all. As they ventured deeper into the alien landscape, disaster struck. A sudden tremor shook the ground violently, splitting open fissures beneath their feet. One of Liam's teammates fell into one of these chasms, screaming until his voice vanished into the abyss below. Chaos erupted as everyone scrambled to regroup. That's when she appeared, or rather crashed into their midst. Aurelian ships weren't exactly subtle. Their sleek, golden vessels descended from the sky with a thunderous roar, scattering debris everywhere. From the largest ship emerged Xylora, clad in armor that gleamed brighter than the stars themselves. Her long silvery hair flowed behind her like liquid moonlight, and her piercing violet eyes scanned the scene with calculated precision. At first glance, she looked every bit the warrior queen her legends claimed, but then something unexpected happened. One of the collapsing crystal towers collapsed toward her without warning. Without hesitation, Liam leapt forward, tackling her out of harm's way just in time. The impact sent them sprawling onto the rocky terrain, leaving them momentarily stunned. When Xylora finally regained her bearings, she found herself staring up at the human soldier hovering protectively above her. For a moment, neither spoke. The only sound between them was the heavy breathing of adrenaline-fueled survival. "You're bleeding?" Liam said gruffly after a beat, pointing to her arm. Sure enough, a jagged piece of crystal had grazed her bicep, drawing bright blue blood that contrasted sharply against her pale skin. He didn't wait for permission before tearing off part of his uniform to fashion a makeshift bandage. As he wrapped it tightly around her wound, Xylora watched him with an unreadable expression. Humans were supposed to be primitive compared to her advanced species, yet here was one displaying such raw determination and kindness. "This is unnecessary," she murmured, though her tone lacked conviction. "I heal quickly." "Doesn't mean you shouldn't take care of yourself," Liam replied matter-of-factly. There was no trace of arrogance in his voice, only practicality. It irked her slightly but also intrigued her. No one dared speak to her so casually back home. By the time they stood up, their respective teams had converged, weapons drawn and tensions high. Both sides eyed each other warily, unsure whether to attack or retreat. It was Xylora who broke the stalemate, raising a hand to signal her guards to stand down. "We are not enemies," she declared firmly, fixing her gaze on Liam. "Not today." He nodded once in acknowledgement, lowering his weapon but keeping it close. Trust didn't come easily to either of them, but something unspoken passed between them, a mutual understanding forged in the heat of danger. Whatever animosity might have existed before now felt secondary to the shared experience of surviving together. And thus began their unlikely alliance. Over the next several days, circumstances forced Liam and Xylora to work closely together. What started as reluctant cooperation soon blossomed into genuine camaraderie. They discovered that despite their vastly different backgrounds, they shared a surprising number of similarities. Both valued honor above all else, and both carried burdens heavier than anyone realized. Through late-night conversations around flickering campfires, courtesy of Xylora's portable energy crystals, they slowly peeled back layers of each other's personalities. Liam learned that beneath Xylora's regal demeanor lay a woman burdened by expectations. As the sole heir to Aurelia's throne, she bore the weight of an entire civilization's hopes and dreams. Every decision she made was scrutinized, every action judged. She rarely allowed herself moments of vulnerability, let alone laughter. Yet with Liam, she found herself loosening up. His dry humor often caught her off guard, eliciting rare smiles that transformed her already stunning features into something ethereal. For his part, Liam couldn't help but admire her resilience. Despite being born into privilege, Xylora possessed a grit and resourcefulness that rivaled any soldier he'd ever known. She could dismantle complex machinery with ease, navigate treacherous terrains without breaking a sweat, and command respect with a single word. More importantly, she listened to his stories, his fears, his aspirations. In doing so, she gave him something he hadn't realized he needed: validation. But their growing bond wasn't without its challenges. Cultural differences frequently led to misunderstandings, some amusing and others frustrating. One particularly memorable incident involved Liam attempting to share a meal with Xylora using rations from his pack. To his dismay, she wrinkled her nose at the bland protein bars, declaring them an insult to sustenance. Undeterred, she whipped up a feast using ingredients sourced from the surrounding environment, complete with dishes that shimmered and changed colors depending on the angle of light. While Liam appreciated the effort, he nearly choked on a fruit that tasted suspiciously like bubblegum mixed with pepper. "Your culinary skills are adventurous," he managed to say between coughs, earning a smug grin from Xylora. "And your palate is tragically underdeveloped?" she shot back, clearly enjoying his discomfort. Despite these minor clashes, their connection deepened. One evening, as they sat beside a bubbling stream illuminated by bioluminescent plants, Xylora turned to him with an unusually serious expression. "You saved my life," she said softly. "Twice now." Liam shrugged, brushing off the compliment. "Just doing my job." "No," she insisted, her voice firm yet tinged with emotion. "You went beyond duty. You risked yourself for someone you barely knew. Someone who represents a species many of your kind fear." Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. For a moment, Liam didn't know how to respond. Finally, he settled on honesty. "I guess I saw someone worth saving." Xylora stared at him, her violet eyes searching his face for any sign of insincerity. Finding none, she smiled. A small, almost shy gesture that sent a jolt of warmth through his chest. "I will remember this," she promised quietly. "Forever." Little did they know, those words would carry far more weight than either anticipated. The uneasy truce between the human soldiers and the Aurelian forces lasted only as long as the immediate threat remained. Once the initial crisis subsided, a mysterious energy anomaly threatening to destabilize the moon, they found themselves navigating new dangers. Political tensions simmered beneath the surface, exacerbated by centuries of mistrust between their species. While Liam and Xylora worked tirelessly to bridge the gap, others weren't so inclined to cooperate. It all came to a head during a diplomatic summit held aboard Xylora's flagship. Representatives from both sides gathered in a grand chamber adorned with holographic displays showcasing the wonders of their respective civilizations. The atmosphere was tense, charged with unspoken hostility. Some humans viewed the Aurelians as arrogant conquerors, while certain Aurelian delegates regarded humanity as reckless primitives unworthy of their attention. Voices rose, accusations flew, and tempers flared until it seemed inevitable that violence would erupt. That's when things took a turn for the absurd. In the middle of heated negotiations, an alarm blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed, bathing the room in an ominous glow. Everyone froze, unsure of what to do next. Before anyone could react, a group of rogue drones, apparently malfunctioning due to the same energy anomaly they'd been investigating, burst into the chamber. Spinning wildly, they unleashed a barrage of harmless but highly irritating glitter bombs, coating everyone in sparkling dust. Amidst the chaos, Xylora burst out laughing. Not the polite chuckle expected of royalty, but a full-throated, belly-shaking laugh that echoed through the room. Liam joined in, clutching his sides as he tried to wipe glitter from his face. Soon, even the sternest diplomats couldn't resist joining the mirth. The absurdity of the situation broke the ice, turning what could have been a disastrous confrontation into an impromptu bonding session. "Well," Xylora said once the laughter subsided, addressing the assembled crowd, "if we can survive a glitter bomb ambush, surely we can find common ground." Her words earned nods of agreement, though some still eyed each other warily. Progress was slow, but progress nonetheless. Back on solid ground, or rather aboard Xylora's ship, their relationship continued to evolve. Moments of levity alternated with intense discussions about their respective cultures, values, and hopes for the future. One night, while exploring a hidden garden within the vessel, they stumbled upon a grove of luminescent trees that emitted soft, melodic tones whenever touched. Intrigued, Xylora plucked a strand of glowing moss and placed it gently in Liam's palm. "For luck," she explained with a mischievous smile. He raised an eyebrow. "Luck? I thought Aurelians didn't believe in superstitions." "We don't," she admitted. "But humans seem fascinated by them. Consider it research." Her playful teasing drew a chuckle from him, followed by a question that caught her off guard. "What happens if I touch it wrong?" She tilted her head, considering his query. "Then perhaps it will sing differently, or maybe it won't sing at all." "Why? Are you afraid of failing?" "No," he replied honestly. "Just curious." With a shrug, he pressed the moss lightly against a nearby tree trunk. To their astonishment, the plant responded with a harmonious chime unlike anything they'd heard before. They spent hours experimenting, creating melodies that danced through the air like living music. By the time they returned to their quarters, they were covered in multicolored spores and grinning like children. Yet amidst the joy, shadows loomed. Neither could ignore the fact that their worlds remained divided, torn apart by history and prejudice. Each step forward felt fragile, vulnerable to the whims of fate. Still, they clung to the promise whispered beside that glowing stream, a vow to remember, to cherish, no matter what lay ahead. Unbeknownst to Liam and Xylora, their budding alliance had attracted unwanted attention. Among the stars, whispers spread of a human soldier who dared stand alongside an Aurelian princess. These rumors reached the ears of Cale Draven, a ruthless mercenary commander infamous across the galaxy for his cunning tactics and merciless brutality. Known simply as the Wraith, Cale thrived on exploiting divisions between species, sowing chaos wherever he went. To him, the growing rapport between humans and Aurelians represented a lucrative opportunity, one he intended to exploit for maximum profit. Cale's plan unfolded swiftly. Using stolen tech, he hacked into communication channels used by both factions, intercepting sensitive information about their joint operations. With precision timing, he launched a series of covert attacks designed to escalate tensions. Supply lines were sabotaged, key personnel targeted, and false intel disseminated to sow distrust. Within days, the fragile peace painstakingly built by Liam and Xylora teetered on the brink of collapse. When reports of these incidents reached Xylora's flagship, panic rippled through the crew. Accusations flew thick and fast, with fingers pointed at both sides. Even Liam struggled to maintain calm as evidence mounted suggesting human involvement in the sabotage. Doubt gnawed at him, though he refused to voice it aloud. Instead, he sought out Xylora, finding her pacing furiously in her private chambers. "We need to act," she snapped before he could speak, "before this spirals further out of control." "I agree," Liam replied evenly. "But rushing in blind won't help. We need proof, real proof, not assumptions based on manipulated data." Xylora stopped mid-stride, fixing him with a sharp look. "And if we don't find it in time, what then?" "Then we fight," he said simply. "Together." His unwavering resolve steadied her nerves. Together, they devised a risky strategy. Infiltrate one of Cale's suspected bases to gather concrete evidence of his involvement. It was a dangerous gambit, fraught with peril, but neither hesitated. Gathering a small team of trusted allies, including a grizzled veteran named Rourke and an Aurelian engineer named Scylla, they prepared for the mission. Under cover of darkness, they approached the base, cloaked by advanced stealth technology provided by Scylla. The facility loomed ahead, a sprawling labyrinth of metal and shadow. Guards patrolled the perimeter, armed to the teeth. Breaking in undetected required split-second timing and flawless coordination. As they slipped past the outer defenses, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking straight into a trap. Inside, the air buzzed with tension. Corridors twisted unpredictably, lined with surveillance cameras and automated turrets. Every step echoed ominously, each sound amplified by the oppressive silence. They moved cautiously, sticking to the shadows, until they reached the central hub housing the mainframe. Here, Scylla worked her magic, bypassing security protocols with practiced ease. Data streamed across screens, revealing damning proof of Kale's machinations. Suddenly, alarms blared. Lights flooded the room, exposing them to dozens of armed mercenaries closing in fast. Betrayal burned hot in Liam's chest. Someone had tipped off Kale, but there was no time to dwell on it. Grabbing Xylora's hand, he shouted orders, rallying their team to hold the line long enough to secure the intel. Bullets ricocheted off walls as they fought their way back toward the exit. Amidst the chaos, Xylora proved herself a formidable warrior, wielding her blade with deadly precision. Side by side, she and Liam carved a path through their enemies, fueled by desperation and determination. Just when escape seemed impossible, reinforcements arrived, Aurelian fighters led by Xylora's most trusted advisor, General Terran. With renewed vigor, they pushed forward, finally bursting free into the cool night air. Behind them, explosions rocked the base as self-destruct mechanisms activated, consuming evidence along with Kale's operatives. Exhausted but victorious, they regrouped aboard Xylora's ship, where cheers erupted upon their return. Though battered and bruised, Liam and Xylora shared a look of quiet triumph. Against overwhelming odds, they had uncovered the truth and strengthened their bond in the process. Yet lingering questions remained. Who had betrayed them, and why? The aftermath of their daring raid left scars visible and invisible. Physically, both Liam and Xylora bore reminders of the battle. Bruises, cuts, and a few burns from stray blaster fire. Emotionally, however, the wounds ran deeper. Betrayal cut hardest, especially when its source remained shrouded in mystery. Suspicion cast long shadows over their alliance, testing the trust painstakingly built between humans and Aurelians. Whispers circulated among the ranks, hinting at spies and double agents lurking within their midst. Determined to root out the traitor, Xylora convened an emergency council aboard her flagship. Representatives from both factions attended, their expressions ranging from grim resolve to thinly veiled hostility. The mood was tense, charged with unspoken accusations. As discussions dragged on, tempers flared, culminating in a heated exchange between Rourke, the grizzled human veteran, and Scylla, the Aurelian engineer. "You think this is some elaborate ploy by us?" Rourke growled, slamming his fist onto the table. "We're fighting for our lives here, and yet somehow, Kale always seems one step ahead." Scylla countered coolly, her golden eyes narrowing. Coincidence? Or convenience? Before things could escalate further, Liam intervened, stepping between them. "Enough!" he barked, his voice cutting through the noise. Turning to Xylora, he added, "Arguing isn't going to solve anything. We need facts, not finger-pointing." Xylora nodded, appreciating his intervention. "Agreed. Let's focus on what we know. Whoever leaked our plans must have access to secure communications. That narrows the list considerably." Her words prompted a collective murmur of agreement. Slowly, order was restored, allowing them to devise a plan moving forward. Enhanced security measures were implemented, including stricter encryption protocols and round-the-clock monitoring of all transmissions. Additionally, internal investigations were launched, scrutinizing every member of their coalition. While these efforts helped restore a semblance of stability, personal dynamics shifted subtly. Trust, once freely given, now required conscious effort to rebuild. This strain manifested most acutely between Liam and Xylora. Though united in purpose, doubts crept in, eroding the foundation of their relationship. Late-night conversations grew shorter, laughter less frequent. Even simple gestures, a reassuring touch, a shared glance, felt weighed down by uncertainty. One evening, unable to bear the distance any longer, Liam sought out Xylora in her private quarters. She stood by the viewport, gazing silently at the stars streaking past. Sensing his presence, she turned, her expression guarded yet hopeful. "We can't keep doing this," he began, his tone earnest. "Letting fear dictate how we interact. If we lose faith in each other, then Kale wins, even if we catch him." Xylora sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. "I know, but it's hard, Liam. Every time I look at you, I wonder, could it be someone close to me? Someone close to you?" He closed the gap between them, taking her hands in his. "Then we face it together. No secrets, no lies. Whatever comes, we deal with it, as partners." Her eyes softened, reflecting a mixture of relief and gratitude. "Partners," she echoed softly, squeezing his hands. "I like the sound of that." From that moment onward, they committed to transparency, sharing thoughts and concerns openly. It wasn't easy. Old habits died hard, and paranoia lingered like a persistent shadow. But with each passing day, their connection grew stronger, fortified by shared adversity and mutual support. Meanwhile, intelligence reports trickled in, painting a clearer picture of Kale's operation. Rumors pointed to a hidden stronghold located deep within a nebula notorious for its volatile storms. Dubbed the Veil, this region posed significant navigational hazards, making it ideal for clandestine activities. Armed with this knowledge, Liam and Xylora formulated a bold strategy: launch a preemptive strike against Kale's base, crippling his operations once and for all. Preparations commenced immediately. Teams drilled tirelessly, honing combat skills and running simulations of potential scenarios. Supplies were stockpiled, ships retrofitted with cutting-edge weaponry, and contingency plans developed for every conceivable outcome. Morale soared as unity replaced suspicion, galvanized by a common goal. Yet amid the flurry of activity, quieter moments offered respite. During breaks, Liam and Xylora found solace in each other's company, revisiting memories of happier times. Whether stargazing from the observation deck or reminiscing about past adventures, these interludes reminded them of why they fought, not merely for survival, but for something greater. As departure day approached, anticipation crackled through the air. Final briefings were conducted, equipment checked and rechecked, and farewells exchanged. Standing side by side on the bridge, Liam and Xylora surveyed their assembled fleet, pride swelling in their chests. United they stood, ready to confront whatever awaited them beyond the veil. But unknown to them, another player entered the game, a wild card destined to alter the course of events forever. Deep within the swirling mists of the veil, a figure watched unseen, observing the approaching fleet with keen interest. Clad in robes that shimmered like liquid starlight, the enigmatic being exuded an aura of ancient wisdom and immense power. Known only as Irinder, this entity hailed from a race long thought extinct, their existence relegated to myth and legend. Few dared speak their name aloud, fearing invocation might summon calamity. Irinder's motives remained inscrutable, driven by purposes beyond mortal comprehension. What was clear, however, was their vested interest in the unfolding drama. Through eons of isolation, they had witnessed countless conflicts rise and fall, civilizations bloom and crumble. Yet something about this particular struggle resonated deeply, stirring echoes of forgotten prophecies. Guided by intuition or perhaps destiny itself, Irinder chose to intervene. Not overtly, but subtly weaving threads of influence into the tapestry of events. Their first move materialized aboard Xylora's flagship, manifesting as a cryptic message delivered directly into her mind. Startled, she staggered, clutching her temples as visions assaulted her consciousness. Images of destruction and salvation intertwined, accompanied by a single phrase repeated endlessly: "Unity shall birth rebirth." Shaken yet resolute, Xylora relayed the experience to Liam, who listened intently despite skepticism etched across his features. Together, they debated possible meanings, eventually deciding to interpret it as encouragement rather than warning. Whatever lay ahead, they resolved to face it head-on, trusting in their combined strength. Meanwhile, Irinder extended tendrils of guidance elsewhere. Within Kale's stronghold, subtle manipulations sowed discord among his ranks. Loyalties wavered, alliances fractured, leaving cracks in the once impenetrable fortress. Unaware of external interference, Kale doubled down on defensive measures, oblivious to internal decay festering beneath his command. As fleets converged upon the veil, storm clouds gathered metaphorically and literally. Lightning arced wildly, illuminating jagged asteroids drifting lazily through space. Visibility plummeted, forcing pilots to rely heavily on instruments rather than visual cues. Communication signals faltered intermittently, adding layers of complexity to coordinated maneuvers. Undeterred, Liam led the charge, piloting his fighter craft with practiced precision. Beside him, Xylora commanded her cruiser, directing strategic strikes aimed at weakening enemy positions. Explosions lit up the void, bursts of fiery brilliance punctuating the cacophony of battle cries and weapon discharges. Despite overwhelming odds, their forces held firm, buoyed by unwavering resolve. Then, unexpectedly, Irinder acted decisively. Emerging from concealment, they positioned themselves strategically amidst the fray, radiating waves of calming energy that pacified frenzied minds and slowed frenetic pulses. Combatants paused mid-action, confused yet strangely tranquil. weapons lowered tentatively, gazes shifting uncertainly toward the luminous apparition hovering serenely amidst chaos. Taking advantage of the lull, Liam seized the opportunity to broadcast a message across all frequencies. His voice rang clear and commanding, imbued with sincerity born of trials endured. "Listen carefully," he urged, addressing friend and foe alike. "This fight serves no purpose other than perpetuating hatred and division. Look around you, see the futility, feel the exhaustion. Isn't it time we chose another path?" Silence reigned supreme, broken only by static hums of idling engines. Slowly, hesitantly, heads nodded in agreement. Even Cale, cornered and outnumbered, lowered his weapon, resignation etched upon his scarred visage. Sensing victory within grasp, Zylora stepped forward, joining Liam center stage. Hand in hand, they addressed the assembly, voices blending harmoniously as one. "Let today mark the beginning of a new era," she proclaimed, echoing sentiments shared privately earlier. "An era defined not by conflict, but collaboration. Let us forge bonds stronger than steel, friendships deeper than oceans. Together, we can achieve greatness unimaginable." Cheers erupted spontaneously, reverberating through hulls and hearts alike. Bonds formed instantly, transcending species and histories. Hope ignited anew, burning brighter than ever before. Behind them, Irinder faded gradually, satisfied yet enigmatic smile playing upon ageless lips. Their role fulfilled, they retreated silently into obscurity, leaving behind seeds of change destined to flourish. Though peace seemed secured, challenges undoubtedly awaited. Rebuilding required patience, perseverance, and sacrifice. Old wounds needed healing, prejudices dismantling brick by brick. But standing united, guided by promises whispered under starlit skies, Liam and Zylora faced futures brimming with possibilities limitless and boundless. While it's wonderful to imagine Liam and Zylora marrying, having a bunch of kids, and living peacefully ever after, their story is far too epic, dramatic, and intertwined with the fate of both their species to end so simply. The galaxy they inhabit is vast, unpredictable, and full of challenges that would test even the strongest bonds. Their love may have been forged in chaos and strengthened by shared trials, but peace for them isn't just about personal happiness. It's about building a future where humans and Aurelians can coexist without fear or prejudice. That said, let's explore how their journey might evolve towards something resembling happily ever after, while still honoring the complexity of their world. Months turned into years as Liam and Zylora worked tirelessly to solidify the fragile alliance between their peoples. Peace treaties were signed, trade routes established, and cultural exchange programs initiated. Slowly but surely, mistrust gave way to curiosity, then understanding, and finally respect. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, protests, and occasional flare-ups of old animosities, but progress was undeniable. During this time, Liam and Zylora's relationship deepened further. No longer defined solely by duty or survival, it blossomed into something richer. Partnership, friendship, and an unshakable bond built on trust. They became symbols of hope not only for their respective species, but also for anyone who believed unity was possible despite differences. One evening, aboard Zylora's flagship, which had become their shared home, they found themselves alone in the observation deck, gazing at a nebula painted in hues of gold and violet. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with unspoken thoughts and memories of battles fought and victories won. "You know," Liam began, breaking the quiet, "back when we first met, I never imagined I'd be here with you like this." Zylora raised an eyebrow, her lips curving into a playful smirk. "You mean saving my life twice, arguing over glitter bombs, and nearly getting yourself killed more times than I care to count?" He chuckled, shaking his head. "Well, yeah, all that too. But I meant us, together, like equals." Her expression softened, and she reached out to take his hand. "Neither did I, to be honest. You're infuriatingly stubborn, ridiculously reckless, and somehow managed to make me laugh when I least expect it. Not exactly qualities I looked for in a partner." "Gee, thanks," he teased, though his eyes sparkled with affection. "But," she continued, squeezing his fingers gently, "you're also brave, kind, and fiercely loyal, and whether I wanted to admit it or not, you've made me happier than I've ever been." The sincerity in her voice left him momentarily speechless. Clearing his throat, he glanced down at their intertwined hands before meeting her gaze. "So, what happens next?" For us, I mean, Xylora tilted her head thoughtfully, considering his question. I suppose that depends on what we want. Do we keep fighting for our people, pushing boundaries until there's nothing left to fight for? Or do we step back, focus on ourselves, and see where life takes us? Liam hesitated, weighing her words. As much as he loved being part of something bigger than himself, he couldn't deny the longing for a quieter existence, a chance to build a life together away from constant conflict. Yet abandoning their responsibilities felt wrong, especially when so much work remained unfinished. We could try doing both, he suggested finally. Find balance. Keep working toward peace, but carve out time for, well, us. She smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. I think I'd like that. It wasn't long before their decision to prioritize their relationship led to whispers among their allies, and eventually celebrations. In a ceremony blending human and Aurelian traditions, Liam and Xylora exchanged vows under twin suns on a neutral planet chosen specifically for its symbolic significance. Friends, family, and dignitaries from both species gathered to witness the union, cheering loudly as the newlyweds sealed their promise with a kiss. Their marriage marked a turning point, not just for them personally, but for interspecies relations as a whole. If a human soldier and an Aurelian princess could find common ground and build a life together, surely others could follow suit. Over time, stories of their love inspired countless others to reach across divides, fostering connections once thought impossible. As for children, they came unexpectedly, though perhaps unsurprisingly, given the couple's knack for defying odds. Their first child, a daughter named Lyra, arrived amidst much fanfare. With her father's earthy complexion and her mother's luminous violet eyes, she embodied the perfect blend of two worlds. More children followed, twins Kaelin and Soren, whose mischievous antics kept everyone on their toes, and later, a son named Eric, whose quiet wisdom belied his young age. Raising a multiracial family in a post-conflict society presented unique challenges, but Liam and Xylora faced them head-on. They taught their children the value of empathy, resilience, and standing up for what was right, even when it was hard. Through bedtime stories of daring adventures and lessons learned from mistakes, they instilled in their kids a sense of purpose greater than themselves. In quieter moments, Liam and Xylora often reflected on how far they'd come since that fateful day on the crystal moon. From enemies to allies, from reluctant partners to devoted spouses, their journey had been anything but ordinary. And though the galaxy still held mysteries waiting to be unraveled, they faced the unknown side by side, confident in their ability to navigate whatever lay ahead. And so, beneath starlit skies and amidst laughter-filled halls, Liam and Xylora built a legacy rooted in love, courage, and unity. Their story didn't end with happily ever after. Instead, it became a testament to the enduring power of hope and the boundless possibilities of connection.